I paid over $200K for my family's dreams, then sat alone on my birthday with a cake no one touched. The bar was empty. The cake was untouched. The invites were ignored. I'd paid their mortgages, tuition, weddings, and they couldn't even show up. That night I decided, if they want a business relationship, I'm sending the invoice. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Where in the world are you watching from? Hi, I'm Tim Blake, and I turned 30 with a $200 cake, 6 unopened party favors, and exactly 0 guests. Let me paint you the scene. I'd booked a small lounge at my favorite bar. Nothing too fancy, just cozy, quiet, with a jukebox that actually worked. I sent the invites 3 weeks ahead. Just family. I figured if anyone would show up, it'd be them. You know, the people who made me hold my cousin's hair during her bachelorette party, puke fest, and front the bill for my brother's business investment, a failed crypto Twitch stream. By 9 p.m., I was sitting alone, not fashionably late alone, completely alone. The bartender, a guy named Joe, looked at me like I'd been stood up for prom. "You good?" he asked gently. I gave him the world's saddest thumbs up. He poured me a whiskey on the house. "Happy birthday, man." "Thanks, Joe." I cut myself a slice of cake, whispered, "Happy birthday," under my breath, and tried not to cry into the frosting. As I boxed it up, untouched except for that one lonely slice, I told myself, maybe something came up. Maybe there was a family emergency. Maybe they'd planned a surprise party somewhere else. But deep down, I knew. They just didn't come. Not a single call, not a single text, just silence. A week later, still raw from the ghost party fiasco, I was in the middle of a Zoom meeting when my phone lit up with a family group text. The notification preview said, "Hey family, your dad's 50th birthday's coming up." I stared at it like it was radioactive. The meeting kept rolling, some guy droning about deliverables, but my brain had left the chat. I opened the message. "Hey family, your dad's 50th is almost here. We're going big this year, lakeside resort, full weekend experience. Think boat rentals, chef's tasting, private fireworks, the works. It's gonna be unforgettable. Cost is $800 per person. Please Venmo me by Friday. Love you all." No. "Hey Tim, sorry about missing your birthday last week. No, hope it went well. No, are you okay? Just a bill. $1,800 for a party I didn't ask for, from a family that didn't show up to mine." Then came the replies. Sarah, "Already sent, Mom. Can't wait." Ethan, "Book time off. Dad's gonna flip." And just like that, the chat lit up with enthusiasm, fire emojis, and excitement like I hadn't just eaten birthday cake alone like a sitcom divorcee. I sat there, phone in hand, mouth open. It wasn't the money. It was the fact they didn't even acknowledge me. It was the assumption that I'd of course pay my share for the real birthday that mattered. Dad's, not mine. So I did what any petty, emotionally fried man would do. I opened Venmo, sent my mother $1 and attached a note. "Congratulations." Then I got up, walked to the front door, changed the locks, and blocked every family number in my phone. For the first time in years, it felt like breathing fresh air. Not air laced with guilt, expectations, and obligation. Just actual air. I made myself a sandwich, sat on the couch, and tried not to think about how much it hurt that it came to this. 2 days passed. Quiet, glorious quiet. Then I got a fraud alert from my bank. Suspicious login attempt on joint savings account. I blinked. We had one leftover joint account, opened years ago, just in case, when Dad had a medical scare. I'd forgotten it even existed, but someone hadn't. I logged in, shut it down, and transferred the balance, $312.56, to my private account. It wasn't about the money. It was about the message. No more free rides. Not 5 minutes later, my sister Sarah called from an unknown number. I didn't answer, then another number, then another. I blocked them all. I was halfway through a leftover slice of cake Don't judge. Cake doesn't expire when it's soaked in betrayal. When the next knock came. Not a metaphorical knock. An actual cop-style knock. Loud, sharp. I peeked through the peephole and nearly laughed. 2 cops. I opened the door slowly. "Can I help you?" The taller one squinted at me. "Are you Tim Blake?" "Yeah. We received a report. Your family reported you as a missing person." I blinked. "Seriously?" The shorter one flipped a notebook. "They said you'd gone silent, that they were worried for your safety." I snorted, couldn't help it. "I blocked them. That's it. I'm not missing. I'm just done." They exchanged a glance. "Care to explain?" I told them everything. The party, the silence, the Vimo invoice, the bank account. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just laid it out, calm and plain. When I finished, the taller one rubbed his chin. "So, you're safe, just cutting ties." "Exactly." They nodded. The shorter one asked, "Would you consider calling them?" "Just to clear it up on paper." I shook my head. "No, but if they keep trying this stuff, I'll file a restraining order." The taller cop gave me a long look. Then he said something that stuck with me. "People do desperate things when they feel cut off. Be ready if they try again." At the time, I thought he meant emotionally. But he was right. Just not the way I expected. Because this wasn't rock bottom for them. It was just the warm-up act. It started with the silence. Not the peaceful kind I'd basked in after cutting them off. The thick, sticky silence that clings to the air before a storm. Then came the calls. First, a single unknown number. I ignored it. Then 2, then 6. Blocked. Texts followed. "How could you do this to us?" "Your father is devastated. Call us, please." I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I turned my phone to Do Not Disturb and curled up on the couch with popcorn and Netflix, doing my best to ignore the growing drumbeat of their unraveling. But peace never lasts long when your family believes you're their personal vault. The pounding on the door was so loud I dropped my bowl. I glanced through the peephole and immediately wanted to scream. "Mom!" She was dressed like she just walked off a church committee meeting. Pearls, perfect lipstick, eyes that could cut granite. She looked pissed. Righteous, like she was the wronged party here. I opened the door just enough to speak. "Go home." Her nostrils flared. "So now you hide, you don't pick up, you don't explain. You're scaring us, Tim." "Scaring you?" I laughed bitterly. "You're the ones who called the police. We thought something happened." "Yeah, something did happen. I finally stopped letting you leech off me." Her expression cracked. "Your father is beside himself. He thinks you've lost your mind." I stared at her. "No, I found it." She tried to push past the door, but I held it steady. "You don't get to shut us out," she snapped. "You already did, when nobody showed up for my birthday." "Oh, for God's sake, Tim, you're 30. Not a child." "Then stop treating me like one. When it's convenient. Otherwise, I'm just your wallet." Her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "We are your family." "No, you were my dependents, and I just filed for emotional emancipation." At that moment, headlights swept across the driveway. I leaned out slightly and saw my dad stepping out of his car, all slow menace and silent disappointment like some suburban mafia boss. Then came the guilt. "Tim," he said, hands in his coat pockets. "Why are you doing this?" I rolled my eyes. "Why am I? Are you serious?" I asked for one night, one tiny, insignificant moment to feel like I mattered. "You all ghosted me." He shook his head, like I was being unreasonable. "This isn't about your birthday." "Exactly," I snapped. "It's never about me. Only what you want from me. Money, help, silence, sacrifice. But you can't even send a text?" "We raised you," he said, voice rising. "We gave you everything." I laughed so hard it hurt. "You gave me guilt. You gave me shame. You gave me responsibility for every bill you created." Behind him, another car pulled up. Sarah, my sister. She stormed out like a soap opera villain, makeup smudged, jaw clenched. "Are you happy now?" she shrieked. "Mom's been crying all week. Dad's on blood pressure meds." "Oh no," I said dryly. "Did I ruin the emotional hostage situation?" "You're selfish, Tim. You always act like you're better than us." "I just want better for myself," she scoffed. "Then be alone. Rot in your perfect little apartment." But I didn't yell back. I didn't defend myself. I didn't need to, because as they stood there, 3 storm clouds in a row, I realized they weren't scary anymore. They were just sad. So I smiled and said, "Goodbye." I closed the door on their stunned faces, and that should have been the end of it. But just as I turned away, my phone buzzed again. Unauthorized login attempt, followed by another, password reset requested. They weren't just angry. They were desperate. And when desperate people lose control of you, they try to take everything else instead. I didn't panic. That was the old me. The version of Tim who would have called to talk it out, to apologize, to give in. This new me. He poured himself a drink, sat down at his desk, and got to work. First, I checked every account. Banking, investment apps, credit cards, even my health insurance portal, just in case. 2-factor authentication, on. Security questions, changed. Any shared logins with family, deleted. My entire digital life got locked down tighter than a casino vault. But I didn't stop there. See, I remembered something that had quietly hung over my head for years like a financial guillotine. The house. Not my house, their house. The one my parents lived in. I co-signed the mortgage when I was 25 and too naive to understand what "just sign here" really meant. My name was still on it, which meant they couldn't refinance or sell without my signature. I picked up the phone and called the mortgage company. "Hi, this is Tim Blake. I need to freeze any changes or authorizations on my shared mortgage account." The woman on the other end sounded surprised. "That'll restrict your co-signers from accessing or modifying the loan." "I know," I said flatly. "That's the point." Next call. My lawyer, John, patient, cold as granite when he needed to be. "I want to sell my share," I told him. "You know that means they'll either have to buy you out or sell the house." I sipped my drink. "Perfect." Within hours, the paperwork was drawn up. A formal notice of intent. Legal, binding, and very, very real. Then came the messages. At first, confused. "Tim, we're locked out of the mortgage account." Then angry. "What are you doing?" "We need access to make payments." Then accusatory. "This is sabotage. You're tearing the family apart." I didn't respond. And that silence? It burned them more than anything I could have said. But they weren't done. Another fraud alert pinged. This time, from a credit card I hadn't used in over a year. An attempt to open a new card in my name. I nearly spit out my drink. They were trying to take out debt using my credit. I filed a fraud report, flagged the account, put a freeze on my credit with all 3 bureaus. Then I got the email from John. "Tim, your family has attempted to refinance the home without your consent. I blocked the paperwork, but they're clearly pushing hard. Be ready for more." I was. I'd been ready since they left me sitting alone with a birthday cake and a bar tab I couldn't even emotionally expense. I opened a new email draft. Subject line, Family Financial Audit. "John, I want a full breakdown. Every dollar I've spent on them in the past 5 years. Mortgage payments, tuition, wedding contributions, medical bills, emergency funds. Itemized. I want receipts." He didn't ask why. Because deep down, we both knew this wasn't just revenge. It was math. Cold, hard math. A day later, the report came in. Mortgage payments I'd quietly covered when they forgot. $78,000. Dad's car loan, $15,000. Sarah's Pinterest perfect wedding, $22,000. Ethan's college tuition when his scholarship fell through, $36,000. Miscellaneous family emergencies, $51,000. Total $202,000, $250,000 if you count interest, lost time, and emotional labor. I stared at the number. Numb. Then I took a deep breath, copied the entire PDF, and dropped it into the family group chat, followed by one line. "I want every cent, starting now." No emojis, no love you, no room for negotiation. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. Dad. "You've lost your damn mind," he barked. "We're your family." "No, I was your piggy bank. And I'm closing. You expect us to just pull 200 grand out of thin air? No, I expect you to try. Sell the house, sell the cars, I don't care, pay me back." "You'll destroy us." I paused. Let the silence hang. "Then maybe," I said slowly. "You shouldn't have built your lives on me." Click. And for once, I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt like the only adult in the room. They tried everything. Emotional blackmail, financial stalling, even recruiting extended family. My aunt called, voice soft, rehearsed. "Tim, sweetie, maybe you're being a little harsh. Your parents are hurting." I didn't flinch. They weren't hurting when they drained me dry. But they're family. And I'm done financing them like a failed Kickstarter. Click. Days passed. Then came the fire sale. First, Dad's prized SUV, gone. Then Mom's sedan. Even Sarah's car, the one I helped her get after her divorce, listed online with a desperate price tag. They were scrambling, selling furniture, electronics, appliances. Sarah even listed her engagement ring. "Lightly worn," the ad read. I almost laughed. But I didn't stop the pressure. My lawyer kept me updated as the house went on the market. It was underwater. Even at a reduced price, it wouldn't cover the mortgage and my $200K audit. So they did what they always did. Beg. Text from Sarah. "You're so selfish, we're drowning." From Mom. "We raised you, you owe us." From Dad. "This is blood money, Tim. Shame on you." And from me. Silence. Because when you've spent years paying everyone else's way, the only sound that brings peace is none at all. Then, 2 weeks later, a call from my lawyer. "They've transferred $22,000. It's not the full amount, but it's a start. A start. A painful, humiliating start for them and a silent victory for me." I stared at the transfer on my screen. $22,000. Enough to prove they understood finally that I wasn't bluffing. But also not enough. I messaged Sarah. 9 installments left. Don't be late." The typing bubble appeared, then vanished. I smiled. That night I slept better than I had in years. No panic attacks, no financial dread, just stillness, clean, quiet stillness. They thought I wouldn't go through with it, that I'd cave, that I'd always be good old Tim. But good old Tim was gone, and what was left was someone who knew exactly what they were worth and wasn't afraid to collect. The payments trickled in. $9,000 one month, $5,000 another, sometimes less. Sometimes just a text from Sarah. "We're trying, stop pushing." I never replied, because I wasn't pushing, I was collecting. Each payment was a silent admission that I'd been right, that they'd used me, that the emotional guilt they weaponized for years didn't work anymore. And every time I saw a new deposit, I felt something loosen in my chest. Freedom. By month 4, they'd sold everything of value. Family heirlooms, furniture, even Dad's record collection. The only thing he'd ever actually loved. The house finally sold too, barely enough to clear the mortgage. After all that, they still owed me $92,000. And then, silence. No payments, no calls, no guilt trips. It stretched for weeks. Until one night, my phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer. "There's a new development." Attached was a blurry photo. My mother, outside a pawn shop, clutching a garbage bag full of clothes. Sarah beside her, hollow-eyed. Dad nowhere in sight. They were homeless, living between cousins' spare rooms and the back of Sarah's ex-husband's garage. They were completely, utterly broken. And the part of me that used to ache for them, the part that would have wired money instantly, offered my couch, said, "It's okay?" It was gone. They taught me how to stop feeling guilty. I just finally listened. I went on with my life. Focused on work, joined a trivia night at the local pub. I even started dating again, real dates, Not the rushed dinners I used to squeeze between bailouts and bank transfers. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to earn peace. I just had it. Then, on a rainy Thursday, my lawyer called. They made the final payment. I froze. All of it? Every cent, you're square. I didn't cry, didn't laugh. I just stared out the window at the rain and whispered, good. It was over. Not the past, no, that would always be there, like a scar. But the hold they had on me? Gone. All that was left was me, and that was more than enough. The final payment came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was at my desk, halfway through editing a budget report, when the bank notification flashed on my screen. Deposit received. $92,000. I froze. It wasn't surprise. Not really. I'd been tracking the payments for months, each one chipped from the life they'd built on my back. But this was the last piece, the end of the tab, the moment I'd waited for without even knowing how badly I needed it. They were out of money. And out of excuses. I didn't respond. I didn't send a thank you. I didn't send anything at all. Instead, I leaned back, stared at the ceiling, and let the silence wash over me like a wave. Not the kind of silence I used to dread. Not the cold, isolating quiet that came after years of being ignored unless someone needed something. This silence was different. It was peace. That evening, I drove out to the coast. There's a cliffside I hadn't been to since college. Just wild wind, sharp air, and the kind of ocean that reminds you how small you really are. I stood on the edge, watching the waves crash, coat whipping in the wind, phone buried deep in my pocket. For a while, I didn't think about anything. Not them, not the past, just me. Still, breathing. When the sun dipped below the horizon, I turned back, drove home, made pasta, and slept better than I had in years. 2 weeks passed, then the email came. Subject: we need to talk. From Sarah. It was long, rambling, emotional, something between a confession and a trap. We were scared, okay? We didn't know what else to do. You didn't have to destroy everything. I miss you. Mom misses you. You've made your point. Can't we just talk? I read it once, then again, then archived it. Not to be cruel. Not to win. But because some doors, once closed, should stay closed. Then came the final surprise. I was out bowling with coworkers. Something casual, beer, bad nachos, office jokes. I hadn't been there in years. And as I waited for my turn, I saw him. My father, 2 lanes down, alone, rolling a ball that swerved straight into the gutter. Again. He looked older, not just physically, smaller. His shoulders slouched, his jacket frayed. He rubbed his face, and when he looked up, he saw me. We stared at each other. Then, slowly, he walked over. Tim, Dad. A pause. Didn't expect to see you here, he said, eyes scanning the floor. Didn't expect you'd be bowling. He gave a hollow laugh. Doctor said I should move more, so here I am. The awkward silence lingered. Then he motioned to the lane beside his. You want to bowl a frame? I should have said no, but I didn't. We played quietly. My strikes, his spares, no talk of money, or blame, or anything real. After 3 frames, he sat down. His voice was quiet. I was proud of you, you know. I just didn't know how to show it. I was jealous of who you became, of how strong you were when I wasn't. I didn't answer. I rolled 1 more strike, then grabbed my jacket. I'm not coming back. He nodded, eyes down. I know. As I walked away, he said one last thing. You weren't the problem, Tim. We just didn't know how to stop taking. I paused, then kept walking. Outside, the night was crisp, sharp, honest, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilt, didn't feel shame, didn't feel like a son or a bank or a failure. I felt free.